bunch of misfits I ever seen either.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. On today's episode, we will be recapping World Fitness Project Event 1. I thought it would be cool to dig into this from the perspective of maybe like a review. There's like the ambiguity of what this thing is and how it's going to go and whether it's going to stick around. So I figured we'd start with basically just jumping into how the event was, and then Hunter and I can break down the programming and all that good stuff. Before we get into that, as usual, housekeeping and live chat. Misfit affiliate Cortez phase has started. This is week 1. If you're already on it, you know what happened yesterday. Hunter, I don't know if you participated yesterday, if that was as fun. Maybe that's part of live chat. As expected, but we've every once in a while you got the member that wants a little extra juice, and they got a whole gallon of juice yesterday. So you can head to teammisfit.com. No, the workout. I'm talking this. Yeah, there's no need to talk about anything other than the workout. You can go to teammisfit.com and click on sign up now. You will get a 2-week free trial at your choice of StreamFit, Push Press, or Sugar WOD. Also, Misfit Athletics off-season block 2 gets started Monday, May 26th. The next episode of this podcast will be a deep dive into that. And if you want to get started a little bit early, you can head to the link in bio on our social media. Click your way through to Fitter and get signed up with a free trial. Gentlemen, live chat. What's good? Hello.
I really think I need a new putter, if I'm being completely honest with you. But
that's what it is, dude. The weight's off, the balance is off.
I'm not rolling the rock like we need to get that handicap down. So yeah, that's probably the most pressing thing happening. I am still in pretty deep Mortal Kombat with Amazon. I did receive a response to one of my 18 emails.
It's a good hit rate.
It was a canned response from Sarah, who it's unclear exactly who works for Amazon and what they do, but there seems to be a pretty large separation between whoever works in call centers, whoever works in like a warehouse, and then like everybody else. But Amazon is rapidly becoming I already hate it. It can be, you can change my mind. I know I'm an important customer, Amazon. You could change my mind.
Amazon, I'm pretty sure he's just requesting to use your website.
Yeah, I'm literally just asking to give you money. But due to like an exquisite.
Why don't you just pretend you're taking the high road though, Hunter, and be like, I am boycotting Amazon because they ruin small business, and like you be part of the solution. Just boycott Amazon because you have to.
I mean, it's getting to that point, but I feel like such a fucking hipster dipshit. No, I'm a good capitalist. Like, give me my products at an affordable rate and delivered to my door. And you fucking twat waffles are just preventing like a perfectly normal customer from using your website. And it's like, well, we can't track the hackers who hack into Amazon accounts. Like, those guys are good to go. But like, man, you and that order history of face lotion and golf gloves, like, it was just that one day that you decided to order 12 PlayStation controllers and an Apple Watch and then request $14,000 of refunds. It's like, we knew you were up to something after all those orders were placed over the last like 5 to 10 years with minimal returns. Like, really just begs the question, like, who the fuck works for Amazon and why are you so wildly incompetent? But we've got that. Definitely need a new putter. And as of yesterday, apparently I'm a weightlifter now, because the snatching in that fucking workout was the best.
Tell the people what that workout was, so most of them will know.
What
was that workout?
1,200 meter run, 21 power snatches, 800-meter run, 15 snatches, 400-meter run, 9 snatches, 200-meter run, 6 snatches, 135.95. So 54 snatches, a little north of a mile and a half of running. But man, that 800-meter run, I was clocking in at like no better than a 2-minute 400-meter pace, and that's generous. It's probably plugging away at like a 2:15 to get started, 2:15, 2:30.
Welcome to the other side, big boy.
Dude,
I can give you 2 to 3 minute 400s all day.
Yeah, I was happy to come in and have to do a bunch of snatches, which is a very weird day for me.
What do you think? Is it just the product of the workout? Because like obviously, what happens to your heart rate with 135 singles over and over? You just don't want to go push out on the pavement.
I mean,
it's hard.
You couldn't. I was like, one of the members asked like what the run pace was, and I was like, do your first 1200 at like a comfortable but opening workout pace, and then good news, once you finish your 21 snatches,
you can't run.
The CrossFit gods will tell you how fast you're going to run. You will not have a choice. And that was the case. My average heart rate was 176, which to be honest seemed a little bit low. Max heart rate was 187, which also seemed a little bit low. And my legs were just lead. Going that 800, I was like, thinking to myself, on that 800, I had so much time to contemplate life. I was like, I'm just prepping for Murph with these 2.5 minute 400s that I'm pulling.
You're not going to get away with like leverage in pulling for very long in a workout like that. So you start to watch and you see people hit this level of like triple extension, like it's a fucking still shot of Miko Salo in 2007, like head tilted back. And it's like, yeah, you do that 50 times. Yeah, that like aggressive jump and quad extension, that'll mess you up, especially if you gotta go pound the pavement afterwards.
Yeah, well, confirmed it did, but yeah, it was a excellent tone setter for the day one of the new Team Misfit affiliate or Misfit affiliate training phase.
Gym looked like they were having a lot more fun out there today.
Today was
like when I walked
fun.
in.
Yeah,
confirmed.
Yep. Some strict.
See, it's all about balance.
Yeah, it is. Tomorrow
all
you
about
can lift
balance.
heavy, and then we'll be right back to fucking your day up on Thursday.
Yeah. Seb, what's up?
Boys, a little tired. Got in at around like 3:20 last night from my drive from Indianapolis. So feeling it today. Today's I feel like I'm hungover, but I don't drink, and then I also feel like
I heard you had a sip of a cider at a party. Don't lie to the
Sorry, I had a quarter sip of a cider somebody wanted me to try, and it was fine. I'm not a beer drinker, so it was all right. But yeah, today I'm definitely feeling it. So
I'll try to drink plenty of fluids.
Say that again?
No,
wasn't me.
No, it wasn't Drew. Drew saw me. I was.
No.
It was past 9 p.m., so I wasn't there.
Yeah, Drew was in bed. But yeah, so I think just drink plenty of fluids today, and then maybe go for a quick run just to flush the body out and get the cobwebs out of here.
How does the body know that it's not sleeping in its own bed? Like, I know that there's a lot of factors, but to me, I believe that there is something else, some sort of like, maybe like evolutionary biology, like I'm not in my cave. I'm somewhere else. I need to have like a different level of alertness on, because I travel enough where I don't get wrapped up in, like when I travel with my wife, she's like, you couldn't hear the air conditioner turning on and off, or this pillow or these sheets. And it's like, if I did that everywhere I traveled, I would lose my mind. So I don't care.
And headphones and a face mask though, right?
Oh, yeah. But like, I've just gotten to the point where I don't fucking care. Like if I can do that, basically, if I can have the like sensory portion, I'll be fine. If the bed's a little soft, bed's a little firm, like the pillows in the Airbnb were weird as hell. They felt like they were blown up with air. But I just like last night, just HRV right back up, like like just being in my own bed. I don't know what it is. There's definitely something there with the nervous system. You just I don't quite get the same recovery scores, that sort of thing. And part of it's probably like eat a little bit later. Typically when you're traveling, there's a lot of factors, but I believe that there's something at play with the nervous system, with the way that you can rest when you're not home. It's kind of the same way that your body doesn't let you take like a complete evacuation until you get home.
Yeah, that was my immediate thought. I was like, well, like your body knows when it's near a familiar toilet. That's for
it
sure.
Does. It's crazy.
No time. We're fucking live here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched the first 7 episodes of a show called Mobland yesterday. And it's basically,
new, or is this old?
It's new. It's basically just Tom Hardy being Tom Hardy, but I love Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
He's a like enforcer fixer for the mob in London. And it's just, I mean, it's not like good cinema.
Yeah.
But it's just there's something about I'm enough of a meathead that I can get pulled into a show like this. And you could tell right off the bat, like it starts out with him like negotiating for some reason, gangsters are always in the kitchen of a restaurant negotiating. So it starts off with that and yeah, exactly. Starts off with that and some guns, and it's just like, yeah, I can watch 7 35-minute episodes of this today for sure. 100%. So if you like watching Tom Hardy being Tom Hardy, watch Mobland.
Is his natural accent like that, just super thick? Like, well, I don't even know what it is. Is it English? Is it Irish?
If I had to guess, he's like somewhere from around London.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I could be wrong. Let's see. Where's Tom Hardy from? Yeah, he's from London. So he's from a suburb of London, and they have all the different like dialects in those different areas. But he's also known as one of the best at manipulating his voice as well. So I don't know in the show if that's his actual accent or if that's like, okay, he's from, this family, like blah, 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 that sort of thing. But
have either of you seen Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
Okay, Hunter, you got to see this. AI overview. He describes himself as a posh middle-class twat.
Love that. Fuck yeah.
Just because he's not like
Maybe
lower
I should
class.
describe myself that way, yeah.
Posh middle class twat. I fucking love that. That's so good. I have seen Peaky Blinders, and I have it like I go to the places that like review different things, and almost every season has like a high score. But I have it like saved to go back to because I don't remember if I even watched a whole season, but I liked it, and I don't know why I stopped watching it. And then I was always shocked that they just kept making seasons. Like, how many seasons are there?
I think there's
like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Girlfriend and I are on season 2 right now, but when you said like mob, like UK,
he showed up.
Gangsters,
I don't know what season he starts coming in at, but I did see a little bit with him. Okay,
yeah,
so
he's in there right now. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
He's like, and his accent, it is like.
Oh, his accent's wild.
I'm not a caption. Yeah, I'm not like a caption guy. Like I prefer to watch shows without the captions. It irritates the hell out of me. But there've been a few times where I'm like, I think I need to like.
I have the
general idea.
The captions on Mobland.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's enough of it. And I've actually gotten used to it a little bit because like Maya will come downstairs when Carter's sleeping and be like, "Can you turn that down a little?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I can't hear this shit." So I'll turn it's mostly because of the amazing discrepancy between when they play music or when they blow things up in shows where you're just like, you can't hear anything. And then, So if you're a meathead and love Tom Hardy, watch Mobland. Good little binge worthy show for sure.
And he also has a really good show called taboo, and they're coming out with a second season next year. It's been in hiatus for like 7-8 years. It's about the East India British Trading Company, so super sick.
Shit, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it was on FX back in the day.
Damn.
I'll put up.
Love it. All right, so Seb and I went to, we'll call it Greater Indianapolis. That might be a one way to open this conversation. The World Fitness Project, their first event, was in Westfield, Indiana. I believe that was the town that it was in, Seb, like 30-40 minutes north of Indianapolis.
Yes,
Luckily that area traffic wasn't crazy, so like I don't know, like one of the things here, so I'll actually backtrack a little bit. Like I said in the intro, want to give like an honest opinion of all this, and I can tell you right now that the only team that I play for is Misfit Athletics. So I don't like love or hate every individual thing that CrossFit HQ does or the World Fitness Project, CrossFit Games versus this versus that. I don't really give a fuck when it comes to the choosing sides of things like that. I like to just sort of do what's best for us and our athletes. So if there's any hope for like hater porn, that's not really how that's going to go. But one of the things that most of the stuff in this episode is going to be positive. We had a really good experience. I think they're open to feedback, which is good. But one of the things that people asked right off the bat when they knew that I was going or knew that I went was how many people were there. And you just wonder if Northern Indiana is the kind of place where they can help grow the sport from a spectator standpoint. So that would be one thing where like, I don't know a damn thing about events from the perspective of like choosing a venue and how far in advance you need to do that sort of thing and all of that stuff that gets taken into consideration. I'm guessing an arena in, a city is probably 10 times as expensive as a place like this. So the venue was really nice. The area was nice. No issues there. But the question becomes, over a long enough time horizon, are we going to end up with enough fans, not only to facilitate the sport from a financial perspective, but just like some of the most special moments that we've seen at competitions are because of the crowd really being into it and getting excited about certain parts of it. So I heard they sold 1,500 tickets. I don't know where that number came from. I don't know if it's real. And then Seb, you might be able to talk to this. I never took a left. I never saw the other competition floor. I never saw Vendor Village. There could have been more people there than I sort of interpreted. But there, I would say Saturday, the attendance was decent. But Friday and Sunday were kind of eh. Yeah. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. The other side where Vendor Village was that the Challenger series on the opposite side that was going on? Or whatever it was?
The Challengers are
workouts, right?
Yeah, community, teams, and maybe masters.
Okay, yeah. So that side was equally as big as where the competition floor and the athlete warm-up area was. But yeah, I wouldn't say there was a lot of people on that side. Vendor Village was rather small. But that place was awesome. It was massive. Like what a great
was crazy.
Facility.
Yeah, really nice facility for sure. So yeah, like I didn't make an exact list of all of the things here, but one of the things that I can do is sort of take you through my personal experience. So we checked in and had briefing on Thursday. Honestly, that was pretty straightforward. I know that the athletes were happy with the way that they were treated, didn't take up too much time. I would say minimal hiccups related to it being their very first event. You could tell that they hired the right people that already knew how to do a lot of this stuff, but there were hiccups of, like a few judging questions, or maybe someone just had to take the mic in front of a large group of people. There were a few things there. And then the dude who was in charge of the lights. We can get into that a little bit, Seb, from your perspective, but the dude who was in charge of the lights went in an in-depth like explanation of when the lights were going to change colors, and they like changed them as he was explaining it. I don't know that that was entirely necessary, maybe for the first event, just to show the athletes, like, you know, the lights turn green when you're going to go, or they turn red at standby, or whatever it is. So that part kind of cracked me up a little bit. And then, so Hunter, you'll like this. There was the original standard for the 1 rep max shoulder to overhead was if the bar was over 225, 155, that they had to drop it from overhead to the ground. Just guessing, you know, like we saw Ben Smith tore his knee up, bringing the bar back down into the front rack, that sort of thing. So I guess it's safety related, which ended up.
These are out of like just freestanding racks in the middle.
Yeah, they're out of freestanding racks, and the athletes essentially found a loophole during the briefing, and then they changed it. But we endured 10 minutes of questions related to where do I put the plates after I strip them off to put it back in the rack? Like, when do I have to have clips on? If I do re-rack it, what is that? What happens? Like, you tell me I can't re-rack it. What if I do? So they were like, it's a no rep. And the athletes were like, raise their hand. They're like, okay, but we like to like basically warm up out there. So who cares? Like, I'm going to put 275 on and 315 on and whatever, and I'm going to re-rack it and put it in because I don't want to have to strip the weights off and whatever. And they were like, okay, you can do it. And then it was like, well, we've literally just like nullified the safety protocol here. So they ended up emailing and being like, it will not be a no rep. But you're not allowed to clean and put it back in the rack over 225, 155. So if you do drop it, you do have to strip the weight down. That sort of thing, which, I mean, an athlete probably would do that anyways. Like, they're not gonna do a 300-pound clean out there. But that part was funny. The questions were blowing my mind. They were, I was
pretty
dying.
Standard athlete briefing.
Oh, dude, it was bad. So going through all of that stuff, very straightforward. I would say no issues there. Going into the competition on day one, you know, things just ran smooth. Like there's no like big narrative to have in relation to the scheduling and whatnot, just because they did a good job, right? They gave them their warning. You know, they corralled 15 minutes early. They were on time the whole time. There was never a heat before that fucked up and they ended up pushing things. So this was every single day, every single heat, including challengers and pros, were good to go. And that's not an easy thing to do when you have like I believe the rumor is that the production team is from WWE that's shooting it. So you're also dealing with that, right? Like, if they're not ready, then that gets pushed. So they've definitely done like the due diligence on, again, who to hire, who to partner with, that sort of thing. Warm-up area was huge, gigantic. Like, you could run close to 400s if you wanted to, just by running a lap around the kind of the inside of that area. So good places for the athletes to hang out. Would have been nice if there were a few more, like one of the things, they basically just had rowers and C2 bikes back there. There were like two or three Echo bikes, I think, probably because they were being used in the other area. So it'd be good to have, you know, I don't know if they'll ever buy the ski ergs. I think it's probably like a programming equipment thing. But if they do, it'd be nice to have the ski ergs and the Echo bikes back there, but that's kind of nitpicking a little bit. I didn't hear much about the judging, Seb. Did you hear any rumblings about the judging? I know that there was an issue with James Sprague on doing the like hand tap past the handstand walk line, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was very minimal though. I feel like it's part of what happens
Like
in
no, it's like a
competitions.
no news is good news sort of a thing. Like I don't have a ton
Yeah,
to report on because it just seemed fine.
yeah, and I feel like someone's bound to, get something wrong in a comp, but it definitely they've
Just
sorted
looking
it
at the
out. But
programming, it doesn't really lend itself to being like
No.
overly difficult to judge and like remain consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the biggest thing was the double dumbbell lunges towards the end. And that wasn't the judges. That was just the athletes deciding. I think probably 6 athletes tried to go unbroken instead of going 25 feet and 25 feet, and one was successful. So, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I wanted to have more to say, but it's almost boring because there isn't a lot to say, which is a good thing. When we get into the programming, if you did or didn't watch or see, there's a 10-round workout, one legless rope climb, one regular rope climb, and then you'd run down, move the yoke 50 feet, run back. I think that they need a more tactile version of showing where the athletes are in that workout specifically. So they had like the little flip boards that you'd have at like scoring like a kid's basketball game or volleyball or whatever. So they had those in front of the rig, but if you were lined up with the rig or a little bit close, you wouldn't be able to see where somebody was at. And like the yoke was either on one side or the other, so that gave you some portion of it. But obviously, if somebody gets lapped in a workout like that, then you can't really tell. So I think if they want to, they're definitely trying to put on a show, with the lights, with the way that they have the floor set up. I think they need something a little bit better for events like that if they're going to do that, to really show where athletes are at. And then this is about as nitpicky as it gets, but the font on the scores and the timing was so small on all of the production that you couldn't tell what happened. And I remember seeing Chandler across the room with his face like on the TV, and Chandler like needs like prescription he like wears prescription glasses at all times. So I like was making fun of him, and then I went over and I was like, dude, you gotta bury your face into this TV to see what the times are. And that translated to me asking people in the crowd, like, what does that say? Because they had the Jumbotron with like the 4-sided thing and you couldn't read it. Now, maybe it's because it was white and green. Like there might be a way through color to like darken the background a little bit. But I think they got to fix the graphics related to that, because like stuff like that does matter. It's silly and it's small, but when you go out there like 932 versus 832, when you're screaming at your athletes, it's like a very big difference between those two things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like that. I mean, first event, so obviously, hopefully they fix that. But I think that was like that's an issue that's always been with CrossFit too. It's like not specifically like font size and color on a screen, but it's tracking where the athlete is. I think like just one of the biggest issues with this like type of sporting event, and from like a spectator perspective, where like you want to obviously get more people physically watching the event, but if you're not going to have them physically watching, and there's going to be, it looks like there was a pretty robust live stream schedule, it's like people have to know what's going on. Like a sporting event is just a story, right? And that's why like our traditional sporting events are pretty straightforward, easy to follow, right? It's like, here's like, put the puck in the net, put the ball in the goal, get the football over the line. It's like a very straightforward goal. And like you can turn on the television to any major broadcast and pause it, and within 10 seconds know exactly what's going on. Like who's winning, which direction are we going, like, like how much time is left, all that sort of stuff. And with like CrossFit, functional fitness type things, like because the events are are always different, and like if there isn't that visual element, there is no story, there is no narrative, and therefore like there's nothing to watch. It's like, I don't know, I'm watching people run. I'm not watching a race. I'm watching people run in circles and like lift things. And from a spectator perspective, like that won't do it. That won't do it
Right.
for the CrossFit Games. That won't do it for the World Fitness Project. So like, yeah, oof, that's pretty tough.
So you can see right
But
there, literally, you can see how even if that was on the Jumbotron, that would be tough
yeah,
to read, right?
even just a little bit of like a background, like
and they did have that on
gray outer
some, but it
sort
was
of
still
thing.
too small. And the way that they did it was the number in there for most events was reps remaining. So that's how they showed where certain people were, which was again fine. I didn't have any issue with that, but the viewer is just not going to have the context that certain people are. Those numbers probably don't mean a lot to them
Yeah,
unless
reps
there's
remaining
like
is nothing.
right. So like that part of it, I think, is something that they're going to have to figure out a little bit better, both with the graphics and then with the cues of sort of how they show it out on the floor. Now, one thing that's interesting about it is there were no what I call circumstantial qualifiers. So the 20 people on both sides that they invited it was basically an equation of their success in the sport over a certain period of time. So basically all earned, all should be there. And then the challengers all qualified through a qualifier where like your circumstance just didn't really come into play, right? Like I'm from Africa, so I get the invite, or Asia or whatever. So the field was pushed very close together. But in an instance where that's not the case, or they come up with an event that has a longer, sort of gap between first and last, that is going to make this even worse.
Sure.
Like if there's a bigger gap, or if Jeff Adler does a running event with everybody else. Oh my God. I believe, Hunter, it was the third round. He made it to the turnaround point. Third round out of 5. He made it to the turnaround point on the run before anyone was outside. That's how far ahead he was. It was fucking wild. And it was funny too, because he had just talked about how he was gassed from online semifinals, didn't feel like himself. It's like, you guys are in deep shit if this is this guy not feeling. He actually didn't end up winning the competition, but yeah. So Hunter, I don't know, Seb, if you got any opinions from kind of the media side. Hunter, I don't know if you've got any questions before we dive into the programming side.
No, I mean,
Sorry.
go. Well, no, I'll just. This is both of you. Like, the only reference point that I have for this is CrossFit Games on like online streams. Like, compare it to that. Both, I guess, qualitatively and like, is there a major difference? Like, how was and I also didn't see a stream, or do we have like Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez commentating? Like, do we have is it like at least
It was
Gabby.
It was Gabby. Gabby Magala was there because she was supposed to be one of the pros, and then I don't know who was the number one guy. Seb, do you know?
No,
Was it Tommy? Was it Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy was there, and then let me find out who the other guy in the booth was.
But from what I heard, the live stream was great. But again, they paid a lot of money for it. It's funny, if you went to the YouTube, it was a 5-second video telling you to go to their website because they hosted it on their actual website. And all of the comments on the YouTube were like, fuck you, what the fuck is this? Like, guys, you can't go to World. It's still free. You just got to type it into your browser. It's not a big deal. I would say that it ran smoother than the CrossFit Games, and they did a really good job with the music was good, the lighting was really good, but you can't just say that was the case because the scale was smaller in the atmosphere.
What about like a semifinal, right? It's probably more comparable to like a CrossFit, like a semifinal event, right?
Yeah. Ran way better than almost every semifinal, although I do have to give a shout out. The dude who runs Syndicate does a fantastic job. Like, that competition always like blows me away with how well that's run. But again, in terms of scale, when you're not dealing with as many people coming in and out, it's kind of hard to say that it's a one-to-one comparison, right? Because it's harder to deal with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You know what I mean? Like are there going to be complaints about the food, about, you know, all of these different things? It's easier to execute, I think, probably with less people. But you know, there's typically more issues at the games.
Was it different than CrossFit semifinals? Like,
yeah.
Can we tell this is just a you know, a baby of the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, I mean, it literally was just a CrossFit competition.
Just a CrossFit
like,
event.
Yeah, it's 100% a CrossFit event, but you can tell that they are. One of the narratives I heard was that, hey, we're not testing for the fittest on earth. We're kind of trying to put on a show. So there was an element of that for sure, with the lighting, with the, you know, the smoke machine that the athlete runs out through, and they had, you know, the professional sports intros. They were, you know, announcing themselves and that sort of thing. They had, you know, they did a lot of media, you know, within just the few days before with the athletes, and all of that stuff was like up on the Jumbotron and everything like that. So I think probably a higher level of showmanship was there, especially for it being event one, like that kind of thing. So they definitely put on a show. And I mean, there's people out there saying it was unsafe for them to be lifting in the dark and dumb shit like that. Like, although I will say the Danny Spiegel thing was kind of rough. So she was trying to I think be the first person to ever put 300 overhead that I've heard of, for a female in a competition.
Yeah.
And this was another standard that I thought was amazing. The usual, if you take it out of the rack before the 8 minutes, you can take your fucking time and do the jerk. They were like, you cannot go over the 2-minute reset mark for part B. Like, you can't unrack it, stand there for 2 minutes and 1 second, and then jerk it.
I'm doing it.
I want to see this. That's the complex in the next Misfit Gym Portland. It's unrack, 2-minute front rack hold, 1 split
and
jerk.
Then jerk.
Yes, it'd be the most
Sure
riveting competition.
Plates, yeah.
But they turned the lights off basically to show that the event was over, and she had 300 pounds in the front rack. There was basically no lights on. So the part of it where they had the spotlights on them, a lot of people were hating on that. No, she had 295 before that. And it's funny, all the athletes were like, Danny, come on, 300. And it's like, well, none of you can do 295, but giving her shit for that. So that, yeah, people were making fun of the spotlights or saying that it was unsafe or whatever. I did not get that vibe, but the lights out, they're going to have to fix that. Like, hey, if you're going to tell them, I don't think whoever made the rule and the lighting coordinator were on the same.
We're not in the same.
We're not on the same page there. Yeah. Because, like, obviously you can do a split jerk with just a little bit of lighting, but you'd want to be able to see it, and it just doesn't seem like the safest thing in the world to ask someone to split. Yeah. And that's definitely one of the things that they're like hanging their hat on, is that this is going to be safer than the games. So Seb, you did media there. That is a third-party media is such a huge part of this equation. From an entertainment perspective, for the athletes to be able to promote themselves, for the, you know, programming partners to want to continue to go back and put the money into it. So what was it like from your perspective, media-wise?
Yeah, I wanted to add, Jeremy Austin was with Tommy Marquez in the booth. That for the broadcast. But honestly, man, this has been the first time I've been to a media room where like they took care of the media people. Like, you know, like as prestigious as it is to go to the games, like you're fighting for like outlets and trying to get like your stuff to charge. Like here, the room they gave us was like double the size of the amount of people that they had, so you had plenty of time to like have your stuff. So from that perspective, that was like 5 stars. then we just had freedom to roam wherever except that VIP area, right? But so that was really cool. Usually for like the CrossFit semifinals, like I remember when we did the one in Orlando and then the one out in the West Coast at those convention centers, like you only had like very limited access on the floor, and otherwise you had to shoot from the stands. But from a vantage point, like we had a lot of freedom, and the people were super chill and accommodating, and yeah, man, everybody seemed to be having a good time, which was kind of the theme of that event. Like it was laid back, everybody just took care of business, and yeah, like I have no complaints. Like I'm looking forward to the next one.
Only feedback that I heard from a few people was that when you can only shoot on one side, that there can be an issue with whether your athlete, you get lucky and your athlete is in lane 1 versus lane 9 or 10.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they
but
had the media pit on one side essentially, and then the VIP area on the other side. Is that just a matter of like get yourself the right lens, or is it more actual perspective of it's hard to shoot like from this angle on this athlete?
yeah, I mean, I think like if on that media side, like the last event that Paige did, she was in lane 2, and it's like you can get like the crispiest of shots because you're literally like 5 feet away from her, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but then, but it's like you're always going to be restricted on lane assignments because like unless you're like the media of the event, you're not going to really be able to roam around like the 360
Yeah.
of the competition floor. So you learn to work with it, and then you know I got some great shots of Paige where it's just like it's a cool just like vantage point of like her being the only one on the competition floor like running towards the finish line. So you make do with what you got, and you were able to get to the stands and take shots of finish line, which is that was pretty great. Normally there's comps that you like sometimes rogue. I know
How was
it's
your access, Drew, as a
I
coach?
mean, yeah, easy, super easy. I got to be in the warm up area. They had certain parts of it blocked off for athletes to be able to like go relax, that sort of thing. And I can't tell you whether I was supposed to be back there or not, but I had to get my steps in, so I was walking laps while Paige was doing sweat checks, and there was no. I think. I think one of the things that some people don't realize is that the rules that get put in place over time happen not because the event organizers are dicks, it's because people are, and they accost athletes. You know what I mean? They ask Rich Froning for a piggyback ride while he's doing a warm-up or whatever, and it's like uh, coaches doing certain things, media people going places where they're not supposed to, like that sort of deal. So right now, not a lot of rule breakers. The good thing is everyone who's back there has been there before. um so I think that that's probably helpful. um but yeah, no issues on my end. I mean, I would basically just like, there was a coach's area, but it was far away, and it was funny because I would just go walk like right down to the barricade and watch. And like day 3, some of the coaches were like, why the fuck did you tell me about this area? Like, I've been up in the coaches thing in the rafters. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I didn't even know that was there. Why would I want to go up there? That doesn't make any sense. I just walked
Yeah.
over and watched. Like, sorry. Sometimes being aloof of finer details works out in your favor. Um, so yeah, the I thought I'd have more in terms of my like quote unquote review, but just not as much there because it went pretty smooth.
You could
Um,
review all of the gymnastics pulling movements in the programming.
I made some comments. I made some comments to some people. Yeah, we can talk about the pulling gymnastics dominating
Do you know
CrossFit events once again.
who programmed the event?
Will Murad is the competition director, and as far as I know, he doesn't really share any of it with anyone because of the leaks that are always happening within
Yeah.
CrossFit. I think one of the things they're trying to not have that happen. Um, yeah, more pulling gymnastics. Surprise, surprise. What I can say, Hunter, is we left the muscle endurance stimulus behind in this was a very gassy,
I
this
was
was
gonna
super
say
fucking gassy.
everything except maybe that first. I mean, that first one's gassy as fuck, but I guess could be classified as like a cardio type thing by us. But that, I mean,
Yeah, so we can jump into the programming now, Hunter. I've dissected these from every possible angle, so you can kind of take the reins a little bit, and we can
sure.
talk through it, and you can comment or question or whatever.
You want me to read the workout? Do you just want me to ask
Sure.
you a question?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, first one, 6 rounds for time, 5 rounds for time, 600-meter run, 6 muscle ups, 6 snatches, 165, 115 for the pro division. Looks
Dude,
like fuck, that sucks balls. That's
I
I
heard
got to
the
imagine that's an
rumor is,
unbroken. That most
yeah,
athletes are unbroken touch and go, and just that's 3K for time with some nuisance movements that
most
start to
athletes were
become.
singles until round 5, just as like a pacer, like a
Yeah,
drop and
okay,
reset
that's
on the
what I wasn't sure.
barbell.
Yep.
But rounds 4 and 5 were the decider of whether you could hang.
Sad running, I imagine.
Yeah, and the thing the comment that I'll make about the pro women, the top heat, their first 600 was like right around 2 minutes. And I had Paige
How many
trying to
heats were
hold
there?
3. 3 heats. So it opened with heat 1 being the challengers and then pro, but then it reset. So if you were a challenger and you got yourself up into the top 10, then, you were there, sort of a deal. So after day 1, it was mixed in that way. And I mean, I had Paige, in the workout timer, like between 2:30 and 2:45 for that run. So when they came in around 2 minutes, I was like, oh boy, here we go. And
Was
you
it
could
an
tell.
indoor? It was you made it sound like it's an out and back.
So they ran, they basically used the floor as the big loop. But you ran outside to a turnaround point, came back in through the other side, and just did the thing where if you were, in lane 1, you got to start right there, sort of a deal. So you basically ran down. If you're watching on YouTube, you ran down this side, you went outside, ran down and back, and then entered on the other side to complete the loop, so that everybody's stuff was the same. But man, the running was, from the top athletes, was so impressive. They were running so hard the entire workout. Like the second they got done their snatches, they were like sprinting back through the rig.
I mean, you have to, based on just the time of each individual movement. Like it's twice as much running as the other two things.
So that bad boy was no joke. That one was very much a tone setter, and you could tell that it really fucked with the athletes. Like that kind of thing. And you know how I feel about that. I like to do that in event 1, like always. Just to let people know what's going on. It happens at our stuff. It happens at the Purple Mountain Throwdown. I thought that the first workout at Mayhem was awesome for that reason. And there's just something too, like you got to be able to recover after that, right? Like it's not just executing.
Yeah,
You then got to
demand is
exactly
greater than 0 for sure. Oh, luckily you have a nice easy 8642 20 sandbag cleans with a 200 to follow that. So 8642 sandbag, 2 shoulder, over shoulder,
2 shoulder,
2 shoulder, 30 GHD sit-ups, and a 100-foot handstand walk after each round, including after the
no,
twos, I'm guessing.
so not 90 and 300
90
in terms of
okay.
volume.
Probably more.
Oh, you know what I
Probably
didn't
better
bring
on
up,
that,
Hunter? This will tell you guys. You'll always know how long someone's been doing CrossFit based on this conversation. No GHD standard on the hips. No standard.
Oh, like as far as where the pad can go?
Uh-huh.
So people got the pads around their Achilles tendon, just fucking bending, snapping? Or are they sitting on top of the pad and just bending?
They're sitting in front of the pad.
Yeah. Ugh. Ouch.
The athletes
to
with
be
longer
honest,
arms don't even have to. They don't sit up. It's
Chandler.
crazy. Oh, like Jason Hopper, and then I think maybe it was Danielle Brandon. Like I'm trying to visualize who it was, but it was basically they can get their knees high enough that it's a straight line from their knee to their hip to their shoulder to their hand. So if you can visualize that, and then when they come back up, they're so close to where their feet go in that they don't even have to sit up.
Like
So it's that person
reaching like underneath, like and around.
the person that cheats at mat sit-ups that doesn't sit up. That's what they were doing. So there, yeah, that was like the hot topic in the back for sure. And the thing is, like, I know I can understand what they're doing. So the example would be this one, and then they said they don't care what you do with the double dumbbell. Have them touch, hold them together, like do the movement basically, like that kind of thing. So I can understand.
You mean?
Yeah, so I can understand why you would have standards like that, like do this, and that's what it is. Because I mean, you talk about like CrossFit standard, like what is a hip? Like,
Yeah.
is your entire fucking pelvis, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So, ambiguity in a standard is very bad. And I don't know that they're going to be able to, I mean, people's butts are short, tall, fat, skinny, wide, narrow. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to do it. I do have a solution.
Stop programming that movement.
Yeah. It's fucking
It's
stupid.
So dumb. It's such a dumb fucking movement. It's such a dumb movement to put in competition, I would say. L3 Hunter can justify the functionality of it, but
Sure.
what a fucking dumb movement for competition. And you want to talk about like fans, not like I can at least like relate to a 600 meter run. I might even be able to, if I'm a casual fan, I might even be able to like reconcile what a 200-pound sandbag might feel like. I have no fucking idea what a GHD is or does or why it's hard or what it's supposed to do from a competition standpoint.
Yeah. I think what's happening is they're holding on to the idea that it was, and I'm speaking more to HQ, but they're holding on to the idea that it was like one of the things from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was a accessory movement. It was a strength accessory movement where you were trying to like pull yourself up with your hamstrings, like in your hip, you know what I mean? Like the way that they told you to snap your knee to pull yourself back up like that. It's like, dude,
yeah,
we're not doing that anymore. The athletes are going to figure out how to gamify it. Yeah. They should. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. That's, I mean, if people thought you were a loser if you did kipping handstand push-ups back in the day.
Right.
Like if Diane came up and it was like, you're going to kip those? Fucking, like, what are you, scaling? Like that kind of thing. And now it's like, you know, people not only kip handstand push-ups, they have figured out a way to be able to do 70 of them in a row. Yeah. Like that kind of thing. So I don't blame the athletes at all. But one thing that I know is we're going to have to make content on this. We're going to have to teach people how to do the new GHD sit-up, because they'll lose if they don't.
Take your GHD, bring it over to the dumpster. Now, get a nice flat back setup position and lift.
How to fix your GHD sit-up.
Yeah, I mean, that just looks like a classic just fucking midline thrashing that you're going to see at every level of CrossFit competition. I think we talked about this on a podcast, but like once every 2 weeks.com will just haze the fuck out of you and your midline, whether it's obvious or less obvious, like a front squat and a toe to bar thing, or more obvious, like a fucking GHD handstand walk.
Look at Yella. Go back to that.
Blank hold.
Go back. Third row. Big guy. All the way to the left. Watch this. Watch his butt. Whoop.
Yeah, it's such a stupid.
They're not sitting up. It's not even a sit-up. It's not a sit-up.
But I'm developing my glutes and my hams.
For sure. One thing that was cool about this that I like from a meathead perspective is the athletes that crash and burn got like rewarded for it. They just got enough of a lead and it was descending reps, and they were able to hold on. But it was funny to see, like, normally in a workout like that at the highest level, you would see a little bit more strategic, like, in the athlete that basically did 8 fast, 30 fast, 50 feet fast down was ahead by quite a bit. And it just seemed like it was hard for people to catch up. So I think that got overpaced a little bit by some athletes, which is kind of crazy to say that they're doing sandbag cleans that fast these days, but they are.
Event 3, 6 rounds for time, 8 pull-up, 6 chest to bar, 4 bar muscle up, 8, 6, 4 front squats.
Rounds 1 through 4 were 8 front squats, and then round 5 was 6, round 6 was 4, and the weights increased on round 5 and 6.
A little bit of repetitiveness with this rep scheme, Will Morad. We really like 6. We really like 600 meters, 6 snatches, 6 muscle ups, 8, 6, 4, 2, 8, 6, 4, 2, 6 rounds. Let's we can mix that up a little bit next time. But so obvious question: how many athletes are turning this into a 18 rep bar pull complex at any point in the workout?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the trap. I think that was like the gymnastics felt sort of inconsequential because the athletes did them the way that they should have, basically. I think it was intentionally a trap. Definitely on the men's side, you saw a decent amount of like 8 and 6, and then coming down.
That's a heavy fucking barbell to start. 8 reps, 245, 170.
Yeah. What's funny though is it was a bit of the like haves and have-nots. Like it looked light for at least half of the people.
Yeah.
But there were just other people who, and it's funny because like 1 minute seems like an eternity out on the competition floor for a spectator, and it's absolutely nothing for a competitor. But there was a lot of the like, oh, I've been done for a month and I'm going to come back over and cheer you on sort of a thing happening with those final barbells. But like, I don't know, you're at a competition, you're not going to get any damn points down near the bottom. So you have to try to keep up through those first 4 rounds, right? Like what's the alternative? That sort of thing. So I think that's what happens. I think it gets exacerbated, and then you're in like way, way over your head because you didn't, quote unquote, run your own race. And then you arrived at a 265, a 285 barbell.
Is that cap? What's the cap? You have in here 10 minutes, but I see on some of the leaderboard like 11 and change.
Weird.
12-minute cap, maybe? Maybe just a copy.
Yeah, they must have just changed it.
I only see a couple of caps. Like, it must have been a 12-minute cap, but I mean, fucking, I'll snap through a 2-minute round of that right quick. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I mean, looks like obviously a gymnasty movement, sneaky front squat, metabolic demand. So that probably towed the line a little bit on the gas muscle overload element, but I am seeing, I'm sure we can summarize with this, but like, looks like the longest somebody worked out was like 19 and a half minutes. Oh, I guess I see Danny Spiegel still chugging along at 23 and change on that first one, but 20
she punted that workout. She was not hoofing it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of in that just kind of middle time domain sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that I will say is the 6 rounder took longer than I thought it was going to. And the athlete sentiment in the back was during testing it hurt the most.
That like grip, upper body, and then front rack, like static front rack position with a metabolically demanding squat will fuck you up. That's like, I'm going to do these squats, I dropped the bar, and I just got punched in the gut, and the wind knocked out of me. That's what that looks like it felt like.
I liked the transitions too. They had a decent chunk of space between movements in a lot of instances. And it added definitely an extra element to a lot of the workouts, having to run all the way back across the competition floor to get back to the rig, like that kind of thing. You could tell there was a decent amount of that in play. They did a good job of finishing workouts on the opposite side of the floor. So they had basically rig and then a chunk of like typically the like first 4 rounds and then the middle, and then the last 2 rounds would be at the end. So when they could do it that way, they did, which was nice. But yeah, that one looked pretty gnarly for sure.
Event 4, part A, 1 rep max jerk in 8 minutes. It's a little bit long.
These were only 50. These were only 50 points. I'm gonna throw that out there as a
50 points
as
apiece.
as a critique. I didn't like that. I don't. If that's the test of, and I mean they did test strength, so maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit, but like I don't love the 50 and 50. I think those should be 100 points each.
Sure. 1 rep max jerk in 8 minutes, rest for 2 minutes, and then for time.
Or hold the bar in the front rack.
Or hold the bar in the front rack, and then jerk at the 10-minute mark. Recommended strategy. Then 25, 20, 15 for men, 18, 15, 12 for women, echo bike calories, and then a 50-foot sled push after each with ascending rep scheme. So,
Seb, get me the top
shitty.
men's heat. Get me the top men's heat finishing this workout if you can.
What was the, while you're doing that, Seb, what was the, how many of these events were, what was day one? Day one was Friday and 2 events per day?
2, yeah.
Okay. It's kind of weird. A 10-minute, well, I'm guessing 12-minute time cap. So Saturday is a 12-minute workout and a 16-minute workout where one of those, where more than half of that is a 1 lift and then a 6-minute burner.
It's like 3 minutes too, by the way.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting. Yeah, man, Saturday as well, or Sunday as well. I guess a little.
The part B was really well programmed. You could tell that it was tested and that the weights were appropriate for, because it was like,
what sleds did they use, and how many carpets got rolled up underneath the sleds when they were being pushed?
They did turf, luckily.
Wow.
They had turf in the middle, so there were no issues there. I think the floor's probably turf in general, and that the other stuff was put on top of it. So they had turf, they had the dog sleds, so like the 4 posts. So when you pushed it down, like, and you came back, you could push it back for the next round. Just like no one stopped with the sled, but also basically no one ran with the sled. That's how you know that that's programmed properly.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, Seb, I just wanted the live stream. I just wanted to see the live stream, the dudes finishing the workout. It was very entertaining. This would be day 2 evening. This would be pro. I don't know.
How many 400-pound jerks were there?
Well, funny thing is Jack Farlow and Tudor Magda were in the challenger division, so they went like 417 and like I think Jack had the top, and Tola jerked 415 to win in the pro division, and Farlow did 417 in the challenger. What a fucking, you imagine you go out there, you're in the challenger division, you're up and coming, you hit like 340 and you're celebrating, and Jack Farlow is next to you and he jerks 417 pounds. Yeah, here we go. That's the finish right there, Seb. Just the run across. That one's decent. Oh yeah, Dallin.
Sasquatch.
Looks like he's got a couple of brownies baking in the oven there.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah, I mean, that one looks exactly like I would expect that too.
Making some real athletic people not look so athletic.
Yeah. All right, Sunday. That's interesting. Pretty consistent. Let's see. Same weight. Ascending rep scheme for event 3. Same weight. The sled weight didn't change, did it? Okay. Sunday 10 round. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're good. I was just gonna say that they had the different weights on the front squat one, and they had to change their own barbell from round 5 to 6.
Got it. Okay, Sunday, event 1, 10 rounds for time, 1 legless rope climb, 1 leg assisted rope climb, and then a 50-foot yoke carry. 445 for the gents, 315 for the ladies. And then an LOL 20-pound reduction for the challenger division. Only 20 pounds less for those guys.
Hunter, based on equipment, 2 of the events were identical for pro women and challenger men.
Okay.
And that was
fantastic. That's
heavy. Yeah. There's one of the athletes was complaining about it, and I was like, dude, you're in a division with Jack and Tudor. You want those weights to be as low as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like a fun kind of beefed up version of that old regionals 10 rounder of like the shuttle run rope climb thing.
Which is probably an event that Will Murad took first place in, so you can understand.
Yeah.
Basically just sprinting back and forth.
Yeah, that was around Will Morad time too. Yeah, anything unique about this guy? Down and back 50 feet, all the way down.
So yeah, that's what was cool
back.
is almost all of these were they're 2 25-foot sections. So you would carry in round 1, you ran all the way down, carried the yoke back, and then by the time you got to round 10, you carried the yoke to the end. So you each time had the extra 50-foot transition built in one direction or the other. So that part of it was cool. Again, the way that they set up the floor. I like this, little nerdy, but like I liked that if you did not climb the rope properly after your legless, it was obvious the difference between the athletes who were climbing it efficiently and the ones who weren't. And I got that on full display right off the bat it's actually this division right here, the challenger division. Tudor Magda was putting on a fucking clinic in Seb. If you can go back to like round 1 or round 2, the beginning of this, and you have the camera on Tudor just to watch him do a legless into a, yeah, right there. Watch this. This was like clockwork every single time too. Down, watch the efficiency, just kaboom, kaboom,
nice.
Up. And it was every round. And like that honestly was one of his like not as clean as the other ones, just from a technique standpoint. And you could just tell that if someone jumped up and they were dangling, trying to get their foot in place, or if they were going for that second one, and again, like just that moment too long of like that like hanging knee crunch. You know what I mean? Like you get your knee up nice and high and you're just like flailing, trying to get the rope there. I actually wonder how much of that is because athletes don't cut their rope at their affiliate. It is so much easier to get that second and third pull with the rope on the ground than it is with the rope.
The weight of the rope makes it so much easier to lock your feet in instead you're worried about that thing flying away from you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was one part of it that I thought was cool, was just that the efficiency there really told the story of the workout, because the fitness level is so high now that everyone jogged or ran pretty hard in the transitions and did the yoke easily unbroken. So it was like, how quickly can you be done with your rope climbs was really more the separator on that one.
Last one. Pretty classic kind of finishing descending rep scheme, and with those double dumbbell overhead lunges. So 40/30 calorie row, 30 burpees over the block, question mark?
Yeah, those ballistics thrusters. Blocks that Rogue does for the burpees, those like composite things. You remember that from the games last year? They've done it a few times. They're like 12 inches tall. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so super wide and like box facing. box.
It literally is
Thing,
just
lateral,
it literally
burpee,
just
get over it.
a burpee over. It would be like a burpee over a barbell if a barbell was 12 inches tall. Yeah.
20 thrusters and then a 50-foot double dumbbell overhead walking lunge. I'm guessing the thrusters and lunges were with 70s, both of them.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice easy set of thrusters into some lunges.
The mind fuck for the athletes on this one is that the second set of lunges was easier than the first set of lunges for a lot of them because coming off of thrusters is harder than coming off of a set of lunges. So it's like,
Really?
that's what I mean. And part of it could be because they rested so damn long because it was in their head. And that's why it was easier.
Fuck, my immediate thought is like my arms just can't hold these fucks overhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So that put on a show to end the weekend. Like Adler fell from first to fourth, I believe. Fell off the podium completely just from literally like a single lunge. Like if he had made it over the line. You got to love how that works. Like
306.
you could never convince an athlete that they should do an extra lunge, but athletes can't do the last one of anything. It blows my mind. It's like, I just did 1,000 of these, but 1,001 is exactly too many.
Yeah.
Like I was just, and I don't know, obviously you kind of slow down and you're looking for the line and there's probably things that make that the case, but it definitely added some drama to the weekend. Because again, like a lot of athletes tried to, not a lot, but like a decent chunk of athletes tried to go straight through unbroken. And it's like, sometimes you forget this is event 6 of 6 at, 48 out of 10 RPE. Like it's not the same as I grab those babies in my gym and go lunge them for 50 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll just like I'm going to give my like very brief uninformed review and then you give yours. Obviously heavy on the gymnastics pulling, very little on the gymnastics pushing. We've talked a lot about that. I don't know that I would say it's like there's a good dose of like loading to it. Not much, nothing light. I don't know. The sled is like a little bit unique because it's like, well, it says it's a couple 100 pounds, but it's, based on the way they're moving it, the stimulus is a little bit different, but 70-pound dumbbells, 450-pound yoke, 200-pound sandbags, 70-pound dumbbells, 285-pound front squats. Definitely, obviously, so there's obviously a loading component, a lot of gymnastics pulling, and then again, like the time domain on these, I don't know if it's a problem. Like, traditional CrossFit methodology is, keep predominantly those workouts on the shorter middle time domain end. We know that like from a testing perspective, like testing too many very short workouts skews the leaderboard. Testing too many very long workouts skews the leaderboard.
Right.
I wonder how much like that sort of thing impacts like viewability of events and of the sport. Because on the one hand,
Like if a bunch of them are long.
Yeah, like is it so like on the one hand it's like if we have a lot of short sprinty events, that might be easier for spectators to get behind, but if like am I going to pay money to go and then travel to a venue to watch 3 minutes of fitness at a time and I'm just going to watch that over and over for 6-7 heats of varying different like fitness levels. On the other hand, a longer workout, it's like, well, if I'm a paying spectator, like maybe I feel like I get my money's worth, but like we know like how boring a long event can be, especially it's like 5 rounds for time. It's like, okay, I saw round 1, I saw round 2, and if you don't have a nuanced perspective as a coach or like as an athlete who is like can understand what the athletes are going through and what's happening, like there's a viewability element there for your casual spectator, or I guess maybe there's a lack of viewability element for a spectator. So I think that's like just to kind of like go back to the original, like you were talking about the selling tickets and whatnot, like what needs to happen in order for people to become interested enough to physically bring themselves to an event and watch something like CrossFit, like fitness. And it's
I
just maybe a
think,
general question.
yeah, I think there's the only thing that I've talked to people that did not go, that are not coaches, and I think the casual fan is what is currently missing from this. And when you do everything, like when you have this big budget to put something on and you're like, we're going to be athletes first, we're going to make sure that this and this and this happens, and that the media is super high quality, that leaves behind the swath of the casual fan. Like I don't think that they were reached like
Right.
before this happened, because people
Yeah.
were like, we kind of knew it was happening, but like, what is it? So like when you could say that some of the stuff is either like too exclusive, because if you want to do an activation at a gym, you literally have to travel to Indianapolis to go there and to show up. If you quote unquote overproduce the media, all of it, it's not going to connect with certain people on social media. They're going to want stuff that's a little bit more grassroots, that speaks to them a little bit. So I've been told by certain casual CrossFit fans that it was like, oh, I didn't even really know what was going on or what was happening. And that does matter. And then that takes time for
Yeah.
people to sort of wrap their mind around it. But so I think that matters for sure. I think that you have to find a way to capture the casual fan, because that's the only way you're going to achieve like actual numbers and have this thing be like the longevity of it be there.
Yeah. And I think like a question for the World Fitness Project too is like, well, again, like if if it's going to survive, it has to reach that, like, it can't just reach CrossFitters, because there's a finite number of CrossFitters and there is a far smaller number of CrossFitters who are going to like pay attention to the competitive side, and an even smaller number that are going to physically attend based mostly on geographic location. But if I'm a casual fan, like, and I see like World Fitness Project is coming to my city, like I walk past a venue and it says Friday World Fitness Project, like, and then somebody's like, well, what is that? What's World Fitness Project's answer? Like, what is it? Like, how do I explain in a very short, concise manner?
CrossFit
Yeah,
legally
it's like,
unable
like,
to
and
say
well,
that.
and but even take it a step further, it's like, oh, well, what's CrossFit? It's
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
and if the
Yep.
distinction is like, well, we're not trying to find the fittest on earth, we're trying to put on a show. It's like, I think they have to be able to answer the question of like, we prioritize people over profit, integrity over shortcuts, genuine achievement over empty. Like, our goal is to foster a competitive landscape that values hard work, dedication, and spirit of sport. That sounds amazing, but like, again, I don't know what that, like, well, what do I want to go watch this? Like, I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we showcasing here? And that's not to obviously disrespect the athletes, because they're phenomenal, but like, there's a very small number of people in the world that know those athletes are phenomenal, and they all exist in the CrossFit space. And so like, what's the, it's just, that's a tricky problem that they'll have to solve.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like when you look at the winner on the men's side, I'm going to tell you how long he worked out for. This is normally how I do this: 15 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 5 minutes. So 1 medium, 5 short. Now, that was not the case for most of the athletes. There was more mediums. There was 1 long. That's for damn sure. 15:53 on that workout. Adler was all the way down at like 15, and like sub 3-minute rounds on that workout is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, like a lot of people's like, go run 3,600 meters. Ask a gym goer to go run 3,600 meters in 15 minutes and 30 seconds. But like, not to mention 36 muscle ups and 36 snatches, or 30 and 30.
30.
So yeah, I mean you asked a good question, Hunter, because from a programming perspective, I'm gonna need something around or north of 20 minutes, and hopefully sometimes, like you would hope at the championship in Copenhagen, that they're doing a 30 plus minute workout, right? Um, the pulling gymnastics thing, like we're gonna turn blue at some point with this. It just is what it is now, and we prepare our athletes for it. That's for damn sure. Just like we prepare our athletes for, the CrossFit season having way more machines in it than it used to, like that kind of thing. That's just us going there. But yeah, I guess it really kind of comes down to what they're trying to accomplish. That does matter. Did they intend to have five of the workouts be 3 to 7 minutes? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Or maybe it was just like, wow,
There's
the progression of
obviously
the
like
sport is so
logistical
fucked up.
considerations and like the venue and space, and
Sure.
when you get that number of divisions, like there's a time
They
limit
also
that has to be-
promised not to beat the shit out of the athletes. That was one part of it. Like, we're going to try to program strategically so that we find the fittest person here, but like, we don't want you to have, like, if the sport evolves and we have 5 or 6 tour spots per year, like, you just get annihilated and have to take a month off every time you compete. Like, that's not going to be sustainable. So yeah, that'd be an interesting question to ask. Like, you've got these time caps, but that's not necessarily what the actual workout is. Like, is it a good thing that the top performers, 5 minutes under the time cap, and then the bottom one is not? So those would more be questions for their end. But in my mind, it's like, I like to see
you can
more of a
ask those
blend.
at every CrossFit competition, right? It's like not like that's unique to this event.
Yeah, for sure. All right, final thoughts. The I keep saying this over and over. I've said it in different contexts, but the level of the playing field is so mind-blowing at these events and continues to be. And I've always equated it to, will the snowboarders ever stop adding 180 to 360 degrees of turning in the air? And the answer to that question so far has been no.
Yeah.
Like, the people are doing 1600s and shit when a 900 used to be a big deal. The way that it's progressing and the way that athletes are catching up to other athletes, like, we used to just have these outliers, that like it wasn't possible to catch them, and now they're, it's coming down to the best athlete there dropped the dumbbells and slid to 4th place. Like, that's a good thing for the sport. That's the kind of thing that you want. So I got to tip my cap to the athletes, to all the coaches out there, to the community, because it's one of the reasons why I somehow still maintain that, like, we should be doing this and we should be involved in the competitive landscape, because the athletes are, like, answering, like, the bell. Like, they're putting themselves out there. They're training in the way that they do. They're progressing in the way that they do. And it's absolutely fucking crazy to watch. So, that's my silver lining to just, like, we now have 2 leagues, and we have the season changes all the time, and we have all of these things that we're, like, up against when it comes to, from, like, a business perspective. But the athletes keep getting so much better at, like, a rapid pace, and it's pretty fucking cool to watch. Guys got any final thoughts?
Good job, WFP.
Seb sent me a Slack message at 3:20 a.m.
I'm home. Text Dad, you're home.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I made
Don't
it
text
home,
me
dude.
in the morning.
I'm like, I'm gonna probably try to sleep in before the podcast. I'm destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that World Fitness Project leverages some of the seemingly large budget to market and get some folks to watch. I know, just like as a former mildly competitive athlete, it's always so much more fun and more enticing if you're a competitor to do your thing in front of people. It's nothing quite like having a full stadium of spectators like supporting you. And while the CrossFit community is outstanding, and like the the level of connectedness that each spectator has with the athlete is probably significantly greater than my connection is with Connor McDavid watching the Edmonton Oilers. Like there is something to be said about trying to get people into a stadium, and I would just hope that whether it's CrossFit or World Fitness Project, we can some marketing genius somewhere is able to leverage the fact that the athletes are but like unequivocally the fittest human beings on the planet. Like I'll take that to the bank. But like people, we got to watch, like people got to see it.
And you can't necessarily buy that either, which you could I don't know how long the like true creator economy has been a thing, but it's been a little while now where like you can fucking run ads till you're blue in the face and get no return on that. People want value first. It's so funny. You watch the, like, I doubt that many people that are listening to this watch this kind of stuff, but you watch like the YouTube videos and the people that are successful with it. And they're like, never, ever try to sell a product. Get as many eyeballs on you as you possibly can and provide value, and they'll go find what it is that you do. Right. So I think the people with money get like confused in these moments. It's like, well, we did this and this and this, and we, paid for this ad and we did whatever, and it didn't necessarily pan out like to be what we wanted it to. And maybe the money could go towards hiring the right people that know how to do that and know how to get eyeballs on and provide value and stuff like that. But it's like, it's still survival of the fittest. It's still free market economy, capitalism, but it's like almost not. It's this like cool version of like, do you entertain me? Like we have no attention spans left. And if you can hold my attention, I will eventually give you money.
Economy,
right. Yeah. So that part of it's interesting, and we'll see if they can figure out that side. Because it was like talking to people outside of the bubble that we were in on the weekend. There was just this part of like, I don't know what's going on. Like, and I'm the kind of person who probably should or would. So like, that's probably where they need to figure out that outreach piece.
Nice.
Did we do it?
Fuck you, Amazon. All right, carry on.
We get demonetized. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit podcast. Don't forget, next week we'll be doing a deep dive into Hatchet off-season block 2, I should say, that is also available in the Hatchet program. But we'll do a deep dive into that, and then that will be available the following week, that program to get started. TeamMisfit.com. Click on the sign up now button. Get 2 weeks for free of the Misfit affiliate program from StreamFit, SugarWOD, or Push Press. See you next week.
Later.